Leslie, the word that Peter always says to us is, the light that shines the farthest shines the brightest at home. And somebody write that down, that's pretty good. This is so true. The light that shines the farthest shines the brightest at home. It is never an either or. Never. It is always a let's go. What's that mean? Let's go across the street right there. Let's go down there. Let's go to Youngsville. And if you're in junior high, let's go to Bob's class.
Let's go to class.
Actually, like that? So, junior high kids, you're dismissed right over there to Dave and Bob's class. I can be smooth. The moms and all the ladies here today, you're just doggone pretty awesome. And in a little bit, we actually have something special we're going to do. We're going to teach for a little bit, and we got something special for you at the end. So if somebody came in and said, "What? They usually give me carnations at this church." Yeah, well, hey, budget cuts. Sorry. We're doing it. It's at the end. We're actually going to give them to you on your way out. What we have found is when we give carnations on the way in, we pick a lot of carnations up on Monday morning. And you got to step on them and kick them around. And so we got something special for you at the end today. Let's pray. Father, thank you. Father, thank you for stirring in our hearts. Thank you for your goodness. Thank you for your love. Lord, I ask today that you teach us by your Spirit. Teach every individual here what we need to hear. Don't teach us all at one. Teach us as individuals. Do great things, Father. Thank you, Jesus, for teaching. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. My favorite thing that happens often is somebody comes up and tells me what I said that really impacted them that day, and I know I didn't even talk about that. I just say, darn right, that was good. No, it's because God can, you can be looking at this scripture and something will drop in you that God speaks to you about it. And, hopefully I say at least some wise things, or I can at least quote Peter. And that's a good one. Remember, the light that shines the farthest shines the brightest at home. Did you write that down yet?
Yeah.
All right, get that down. That's a good one right there. All right, go to John chapter 4. John chapter 4. Praise the Lord. Okay, what I want to talk about today is we're heading into a kind of a new series, but we have Bishop Moffat coming next week, and so I don't want to jump into something and then jump right back out of it. But I wanted to talk a little bit kind of the heart of God for the nations and how we are a part of that big time, and how every believer. There's some things about God that are not optional if you call yourself a follower of Christ. And what's not optional is you got to catch a few things about the heart of God, or else you've missed the Father altogether. Like, for instance, you say, "Man, I am a Christian. I hate people." Well, find another religion. It doesn't cut it. It can't. You can't do it. There's just some things about the heart of the Father that are not optional. People is one of them. You can't say, I just wish we had no kids. I can't say, well, you don't have to play with every kid, but you do have to have a heart for children. You can't say, let's bump off everybody when they hit 80, those knuckleheads. No, you can't. The heart of God is for them. And so it is with other cultures, other nations, whatever you want to call it, anybody who's different than you. It's not an option to say, I don't like them. You can say that, but you do not have the heart of the Father. And so one of the things that the heart of God is all about is the nations, which isn't about the nations. He doesn't really care about where lines are drawn and things like that. But he sure does care about where the people are in this world. And he sure does care about the people groups and the cultures and the diversity. And we look at some people and we say, wow, they are so unusual. And God says, man, they're like my favorite. And they would look at you and said, these are the strangest people I've ever seen. How could anybody like them? That's what some people say about you. And God says, no, these guys are cool. You do realize we have quirks that are above quirky. You don't think they're quirks because this is you. And you assume everybody's like this. Hello, they're not. You don't realize how goofy the clothes you're wearing look to half the world. What do you mean? This is in style. According to who? Right? A lot of places I go to, I think, man, do I look dumb? So, but just understand the heart of God is for the nations of the world. And so therefore, we're called to be part of that. We are, and then even as a body, we have had it be a strong part of us. Not everybody has to do the same actions. Everybody's called to have the heart of the Father. And then how you demonstrate that is definitely unique. Do you understand that? Please hear that, because you've got to hear that. This is not a cookie cutter. If you have a heart for different cultures of the world, you must go to Durango and build a house. Well, that's actually just a bunch of baloney. You could go to Durango and build a house. That's optional. What's not optional is having the heart of God for the nations of the world. So when I address us here today, I'm definitely talking to the DNA of PF and some of the actions we have, but it's by no means intent to bring any criticism to people who don't do things like we do. Do you understand that? That's my little disclaimer, asterisk. Don't get mad at me thing. Especially those of you listening online who, I don't know, hi, online. I never address the online people. We have like 100 viewers. You guys rock, and I never talk to you. I guess I always talk to you. I just don't pay any attention to you. And so it's good to have you with us today. John chapter 4, I want you to hear this. I want you to hear the heart. This is, I think, as clear a picture of the heart of God for the nations as there is. Jesus is talking to a Samaritan woman at the well. It's just him and this lady. I'm not going to teach it at all or I'll get bogged down in it. But Jesus and this lady, the Samaritans who were half Jewish, they worshipped on this mount where he was. And of course the Jews worshipped in Jerusalem. So that's the context. Jesus declared, verse 21, "Believe me, woman, a time is coming when you will worship the Father, neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. You Samaritans worship what you do not know. We worship what we do know, for salvation is from the Jews." Verse 23, key thing. "Yet a time is coming and has now come when true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for they are the kind of worshipers the Father seeks." God is spirit, and his worshipers must worship in spirit and truth. I want you to see this. The heart of God is seeking worshipers. He's not seeking converts. God does not have some great evangelistic plan. That'll throw something in your practice and theology. He really doesn't. Why do I say that? Well, he's used about 10,000 of them over the years. And I don't think he said, this one's the best. I wish you'd all use this. What is his heart is seeking worshipers. His heart is not seeking people to come to a worship service. His heart is not to seek people who sign a card. His heart is worshipers. He wants worshipers. That's why when he looks at you, and some of you have been in this room, probably some of you have, probably a lot of us have this testimony. We were in a room like this for a long time before we became a worshiper. Right? That's my case. I was in a room like this a lot. And God really made me a worshiper. And my passion was for him. He's seeking worshipers. And I love the context that he sets this in. Jesus, of course, is a Jew, right there. He's with his Jewish disciples. He's in Samaritan land. He's speaking to a Samaritan woman who is not even, you wouldn't even say a Gentile, because it's a half-breed, which is actually a little lower than a Gentile. So he's talking to somebody different from them. And he neither criticizes how she worships now or where she worships. He doesn't criticize that, nor does he endorse it. He doesn't criticize or endorse how the Jews worshipped at the time. You know what he said? I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in worshipers. And I'm interested in Samaritan worshipers. I'm interested in Jewish worshipers. And I'm interested in worshipers to the ends of the earth. The heart of the Father is seeking worshipers. Some of your translations will say that the Father is seeking worshipers who worship. I like that. That's what he's seeking. He's seeking worshipers who worship. And so that is his heart. It's been his heart since the beginning. So I'm going to try to answer in just a few minutes, if this is possible. I'm going to try. In 10 minutes, I'm going to try to answer the question, why is he seeking worshipers? Why missions? Why do we go all over the place? Why have believers since day one at Pentecost spread? Why? I'm going to give you 5 reasons. I'm going to hopefully make it. Actually, I do these things so I can remember them when I preach, but hopefully you'll remember them when you leave here. If you want to walk this baby out well, you want to soar, right? We're going for it, right? Who wants to zing, right? That's what I do. Well, if you're going to do, did I spit on you? No, I thought I did it because it really came out there. Shielded yourself under the cover. But if you're going to soar, you need wings. And so I'm going to give you the acronym of WINGS. I'm going to answer the question, why missions, or why is the Father seeking worship based on WINGS? The first reason why, the very primary reason, the primary reason for missions, the primary reason for God seeking worshipers is he is worthy. That's good enough. He's worthy. No other reason is needed. No other explanation. No other convincing. The Lamb is worthy. What's he worthy of? Of course he's worthy of my worship. Is he worthy of your worship? Of course he is. Is that where it ends? No. What if he had like 1,000 worshipers? Is that enough? How worthy is this God? He's really worthy, isn't he? He's worth all of creation worshiping him. I can just refer to it without getting too much bogged down, but you know Revelation chapter 5 is when Jesus comes and he opens up the scroll. I want you to see this in heaven, the 24 elders, and they all bow down. And this is really, we don't come in here, but at some point we're joining this throne. We're pretty much going to do a couple things. We're going to say he's holy, and we're going to say he's worthy. That's like, get those 2 things down and you're ready for heaven, right? How do you prepare for heaven? You are holy, you are worthy. Okay, got it. Because that's what we're doing, because he is. What happens? They all these creatures, the elders and the living creatures fall down. They prayed and they sang a new song. Here's what they said. You are worthy to take the scroll, to open its seals, because you were slain. And with your blood you purchased men for God from every tribe, language, people, and nation. You've made them to be kingdom of priests, and they will reign on the earth. Listen, if he's worthy of every tribe, tongue, people, and nation worshiping him, hey, maybe we should go. Right? That's all. That's all we need. He did it. He paid the price for all of them. Can you imagine the audacity to say, yeah, that was nice what you paid, Jesus. You know, you really didn't have to pay so much. You really could have just bought us, because we're not going anywhere. The audacity to think that. But that's what we say when we say, you know what, I don't care about that nation. I don't care about them. Or I'm not interested in them. Let's make sure we're good here. Well, we'll be fine here. But you got the, remember, you got the, you are holy, you are worthy down? Enough, you're good. What about them? What about them? He's worthy of all of them to worship him. Number one primary reason that we go. Second reason might seem a little bit odd, because the I is actually I. You can take the I too, but the you didn't fit here. I am called and destined. You are called and destined. Destined to do what? Well, you can get into your individual things all you want. But I can tell you what your primary call and destiny is. Your primary call and destiny goes back to the call and destiny of Adam and Eve. And it's never changed since the garden. It looks very different than Adam and Eve and everybody else. But the call has always been there. Let me just read it real quick for you so you don't think I'm making things up. Genesis 1 and verse 26, 27, 28. He creates Adam and Eve. He creates them. God created them In verse 27, God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. That's cool, right? Image of God. That's what we are. Get that and don't downplay that. Don't think it's something somebody taught you in Sunday school class. You are created in the image of God. That will change everything. Everything. I can tell you in the way that I treat people whether or not I believe that. Of course I believe it. Well, did you see how you treated that person? Well, yeah, you're right. I really don't believe that. But if I believe I am in the image of God and you are created in the image of God, I will see you totally differently. I will see you as, the masterpiece has shown up. Now, does it need some sanding and rough edges? Yeah, okay, I get that. But I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on, at the core of this clump of marble is the masterpiece of God. It might take a whole lifetime chipping it away, but it's there. The image of God. You start viewing people like that and view yourself like that. You'll talk differently, act differently, do differently, live your life completely differently. But watch what it does. So it makes them in the image of God. God blessed them, said to them, be fruitful and increase in numbers, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and yada, 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 and stuff like that. I want you to see that we are made in the image of God, which essentially is what in the image of God contains the glory of God, which is the presence of God. So I got that. We got that. For what purpose were Adam and Eve made in the image of God? It sounds strange, but you know what they were called to do? Have lots of kids and spread. What were they called to do? Fill the earth. With what? With little Adam and Eves. What were little Adams and little Eves? What were they? They were image of God. What was image of God? It was the glory of God. The glory of God is the presence of God. Where was it to go? All over the earth. That's where they were to go. Now, they were in the Garden of Eden. What a cool place, right? He didn't say have lots of kids and make the Garden of Eden wonderful. That's what I would have said. Why would you have wanted to leave this place? He didn't. He said, have lots of kids and spread, baby. Go. Before there was sin in the world, the call was to spread and fill the earth with the glory of God. I want to get into it, but you could make a case that the earth was created so that Adam and Eve were created so that the glory of God would fill the earth, which seems a little bit circular in its reasoning. But that's why the earth is here, to contain and display the glory of God. To what? I don't know, to whatever else he made. It's what is so you are called, I am called, and I'm destined to be part of this. Therefore, I gotta be involved. I can't say, well, this is for some special people. It's not for special people. Yeah, it is for special people. You. That's who it's for. It's for very special people. But it's not somebody else. It's the call on you is to have a heart for the nations. Does that mean you have to go? Of course not. But it does mean you need to live your life with a heart for the nations. You have to. It's not an option. And so I am part of this. He is worthy. I am called. And watch this. Now is the time. This is why we're part of international stuff. This is why we're part of cross-cultural stuff. This is why we work with whatever we work with. This is why you go to work and love your employees. This is why. Why? Because now is the time. This is not something we're called to do tomorrow. In fact, in John 4, what I just read, he says, a time is coming and has now come. I think that's a worthwhile thing to always have on our lips. A time is coming, yes. And it has now come. It's both. It's both. It's coming and it's now. One of my favorite things is Amos 9, verse 13 says this. The days are coming, and I'll just parenthetically say, and I believe they're now, declares the Lord, when the reaper will be overtaken by the plowman and the planter by the one treading grapes. New wine will drip from the mountains and flow from all the hills. That's a weird picture. It's the picture of, whatever, go out in your garden and plant corn. You're doing plant your corn here, right? And then your your spouse is coming behind and picking the corn. An ear of corn. So quickly that she eventually pushes you out of the way. And keeps picking the corn. And you're standing there going, what the heck's just happening? The only explanation is a miracle. Or, I'll just say this, because this is what Jesus says. Somebody's already been planting that corn, you didn't even know it. So you're actually overtaking the current planters, but the current planters are joining the way previous planters. And you're reaping what they have sown. I think this is John 4 also. Where what they have sown, I'm reaping what I did not sow, but they sowed something they did not reap. And so what I think I'm sowing today, somebody else is coming by and reaping it quicker than I'm sowing it. I actually think I said everything there correctly, even though you were totally lost on all that stuff. Go back, rewind it, listen to it, and say, wow, that was pretty sharp. But what I want us to see is that now is the time. Now is the time. And we're reaping what we didn't sow. And we're even pushing away the sowers now. Cool stuff with this. I can tell you lots of stories, but from a personal story, I did not know him. He died before I was born. But my great-grandfather, my great-grandparents on my mom's side, so her grandparents, they were Moravian missionaries, which is kind of cool if you know anything about Moravians. They were like the coolest. They're the kinds that, pack themselves in, caskets and ship themselves all over the world. Just, they were weird. They were crazy people. But my grandfather didn't do that. But he was a missionary in South Africa for multi-years. This is all around about 1900. And then he was a missionary in Latin America, Colombia and other places, Nicaragua, for a number of years. It was at a season when Africa was, for missionaries, the graveyard. It was a season where in Latin America, nothing was happening. It really was. There was nothing going on. I have multi-letters from him that he's written back. And it was basically like, wow, this is kind of hard, nothing's happening. However, I should have dug it out today, but I didn't think about it soon enough. One letter he wrote back from Latin America, he wrote this back, and he wrote it back to his mission board and said, you need to send more workers. The harvest is just about ready to explode in Latin America. And so why do I say all that? My grandfather was a missionary for like 20 years overseas, and that was at a time when you didn't come home and you wrote letters and stuff like that. And nothing happened. He saw no fruit. I can tell you, and this is nothing to do with me. I sometimes just board a plane and then think, I wonder what I'm doing when I'm going to get there. Literally, that's sometimes my mission trips. And yet I have spoken and seen God change the lives of, no exaggeration, probably 10,000 people in Latin America. What? What did I do to deserve that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I got off a plane and started doing stuff. I have seen more than that in Africa. Way more than that. Speaking to crazy people, teaching ridiculous people of influence in these places. And it goes far-reaching. It's just crazy. But my point is, I'm completely reaping what somebody else sowed. You need to get a hold of that, because that will keep your pride in check. Because if it was 1905 and I went over there, I'd get malaria and die. Because it's not about me. It's about the time, and now is the time. The fourth thing is we go full of grace. Why full of grace? Because everything I have came by His grace. Therefore, everything I give comes by His grace. Therefore, it's not my strength that got it. It's not my strength that gives it. Freely you have received. Freely you have give. Easy come, easy go. I don't know. Whatever it makes you think it, it's all grace. It's all grace. So we give by grace. We receive by grace. And we give more by grace. We receive more by grace. It's grace, grace, grace. That's what fuels missions, is grace. And the last thing is we're called to scatter. We're called to scatter and multiply. We are not called to congregate and stagnate. Got to hear that, people. A lot of times people congregate and stagnate. It's the easiest thing to do. It's to huddle in, lock arms, and if anybody's different from me, keep them out. Well, that's all jolly well fine, and you might have fun for a while, but you'll eventually stagnate and die. Or we're called to obey the Genesis command, which is scatter and go. I could go through the whole Bible from start to finish and tell how it's all about scattering and going. And that's what we're called to do, to scatter and to go, even to the people who are different than us. Unity is not uniformity. Please hear that. We do not want to all look the same. We're not called to be uniformed, but we are called to walk in unity. Therefore, you could be with people so different. I love the diversity in this place. I love it. It's really fun. It doesn't make any sense we would come together. We wouldn't come together for anything else. I mean, really, some of my best friends, I look at them sometimes and think, really? You're my friend. No, I'm kidding. That actually was my testimony going through college. All my friends were like, I never would have been friends with any of you in high school. And yet, they're still some of my best friends. It's unity is when diversity comes together and doesn't change to conform. Diversity comes together for the greater goal of His glory. That's amazing, amazing unity. I've seen it so many times, firsthand experiences in how it happens. I'll tell you, because David Hoisington's here, because you can verify. David, are you here? Did I see you? Yes. So you can tell me if this is true. So sometimes I lie here, but because you're here, I'll tell the truth. David and I and Peter we were crossing a border into Uganda, the Swami River border. We actually had to go through the river to get over there. And we're in this way remote place. What's the name of that town? Something with a B. Burundi, whatever. You don't even know. Huh? This is how out it is. I don't know where we were. So we're out there, and these people were very different than us. And they hadn't seen many white people at all. In fact, David and I and TJ was with us. We may have been some of the first white people they saw. So we go in there. It's a very remote village way out there. And as soon as I'm done with the story, you're on. Okay. We go into this village. We're all different. They're all different. No, they're fine. They're all the same. We're completely different. We go and we minister in a church. It was kind of a really cool time. Then we're hungry, so we go eat. We go into this one restaurant. We pull up. Whoever our driver was at the time, but him and Peter get out, and they go into this restaurant. And they come back and they said, "Oh, they don't have any food." Okay. So we go to the other restaurant in town. There were two. And they weren't like restaurants like you think. So we go to this other one, and it's a very small room, like the size of where our coffee shop is, just where our coffee thing is. And the three of us, plus Peter and Mark, we go in and we sit down. Everybody else in the restaurant stands up, including the cooks and the kitchen help, and they leave. This isn't good. They're gone. And I was like, what is going on here? And Mark, he's a Kenyan brother, a Sabat, and he goes and he meets them and all that stuff. He explains to them that we're not like I don't know what they thought we were. They were terribly afraid of us. And he explained to them that we were okay. We weren't going to hurt them, and we were going to love their food. So he smoothed it over in such a way, they came out and they met us, and it was all like really cool. Well, then they got ridiculous. And out came the food. Like the whole village, if they had cooked for them and put it at our table, that's what it was like. So this became our restaurant for the week that we were there, and these were our buddies, and we were tight. Listen, they didn't change, we didn't change, but we came together and unified. Had tremendous ministry over there. In fact, we went over there, and in the next year, because some people here gave, every Friday night, Peter was on the radio broadcasting to all of eastern Uganda, and every Saturday morning at 7:30, I was on the radio broadcasting to that whole tribe over there in that area. But what I want you to see is when we came together, even within that restaurant, God said, "That's my boys right there. That's my restaurant." He says, "You can go eat at Applebee's all you want, but that's the restaurant where I'm eating." Where those goofy-looking white people sat down and loved the food of those beautiful, amazing Ugandans. So I want you to hear we're called to scatter and multiply, and make sure we always do. I'm going to stop because I just need to. But I want you to hear the heart of God. Hear God's hearts for the nations. He wants us to soar. And when we grab a hold of these things, it will soar fast, it'll soar high, and it'll soar big. Get a hold of it. You need to settle this in your own heart and let God really stir on you. I want to do this because we want to take the last couple of minutes and just say thanks to Mom because you're pretty doggone amazing. Having said that, I want to be very, very clear about this. I know that every holiday is like the coolest day for some and the worst day for others. Some of you, maybe Mom died last year. It was a really hard day. Some of you are watching online because you don't come today because you have a pain. This is just a hard day for you. I get that. I totally get that. So with all sensitivity, we just want to say, women, you are great. We would be in big trouble without you. I speak from major experience. If I wasn't married, you wouldn't even know me. I don't know.